Welcome to Biff's Mystery Theater. I have many tales to tell you. Ghost stories, murder stories, and tales that will make your bones chill. Join me, won't you? For Theater of the Mind, where you always have the best seat in the house. Now close your eyes and turn off the lights.
Countdown for blastoff. X -5, -4, -3, -2, X -1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 would-be worlds. The National Broadcasting Company presents X minus one. Tonight's story, The Man in the Moon.
Attention, attention. This is the Federal Bureau of Missing Persons calling all local agencies. Attention, this is a coded report nationwide. Missing since 9 o'clock this morning the following persons: Smigley Jonathan, 5 feet 8 inches tall, brown hair, brown eyes, mastoid scar behind right ear.
Hello?
Last seen wearing blue top coat and tan cap. Wanted by Los Angeles. Hello, get off this wavelength. This is a restricted band.
Hello, Earth.
Whoever you are, you're on a coded wavelength.
Earth.
Tune out. This frequency is reserved for the Federal Bureau of Missing Persons.
Hello, Earth. This is the moon calling Earth. Hello, Earth.
This guy's loony.
This is Jake in transmission.
Jake, this is Charlie of the code room. Some crackpot is on our frequency.
Yeah, I heard him, Charlie. I've got CQ trying to trace a source now. We should have a triangulation any second.
Well, hurry it up, will you? Some ham is in for a good stiff fine by the FCC.
Yeah, they ought to take his license away. Oh, here comes Lenny with the directional fix.
Right.
Thanks, Lenny. Hey, what's this? This is impossible.
What's going on down there? How about it? Get that ham out of my kilocycles.
Oh, listen, Charlie, unless this is a gag, that interference is being beamed from 240,000 miles away.
Oh, now, Jake, you know there ain't no such thing as 240,000 miles away.
Yes, there is, Charlie, straight up.
Oh, now, wait a minute.
Charlie, that signal is coming from the moon.
Are you nuts?
Well, somebody might be bouncing it like a radar signal.
Radar on this frequency? Where'd you study basic radio?
Now, listen, Flathead, you asked for a fix. I gave the best fix our instruments can find. Take it or leave it. Somebody on the moon is calling the Bureau of Missing Persons.
Mr. Timken! Mr. Timken!
What's the sweat, Charlie? Shouldn't you be broadcasting?
Listen, Mr. Timken. You know I'm a sober citizen, right?
Hmm?
Never once have I broadcast with the smell of alcohol on my breath, right?
Right.
In all your 12 years here at the Bureau, did I once ever...
What's the matter, Charlie?
We're picking up a message on our
Well,
wavelength.
did you report to the FCC?
I ain't got the nerve.
Well, what's wrong?
You'll scream when you hear this, Mr. Timken. You'll jump right out the window, but... We are getting an SOS from the moon. Well, that's it. He started on voice and switched to Morse. The way the signal repeats sounds like a phonograph record or automatic sender of some sort.
Well, what's it say?
Let's see here. Can you read me? Help, Otterburn. Will contact when moon is in phase.
Let's have that again.
Can you read me? Help, Otterburn. Will contact when moon is in phase.
Otterburn.
That sounds like a name, huh?
Otterburn. Otterburn. Wait a minute.
Something registered?
Cornelius Otterburn. Holy jumping Jehoshaphat.
Hey, where are you going?
Talk to the chief.
Hey, wait a minute. What are you going to tell him? We just got a CQ from the man in the moon?
That's exactly what I am going to tell him, Charlie.
Oh, this is just too much for me.
Washington Star Ledger.
Let me have O'Brien on city desk.
A moment.
O'Brien?
Seamus,
Yeah?
Charlie Starbuck down at the Missing Persons Bureau. You want a hot one? No kidding. This'll cost you a beer, okay?
All right, shoot, Noodle Brain. I'll stay on your wavelength for 30 seconds.
Okay. We just got a radio message from the moon.
Yep. What?
From the moon.
Call me back when you're sober.
Okay, Seamus, if you don't know a story when you see one,
I'll send you the name of a good psychiatrist. So long, Orson Welles.
How do you like that? You don't believe me.
Otterburn, Mr. Wade. Now, does that name ring a bell?
You're the man with the photographic memory, Henry. What about Otterburn?
Cornelius Otterburn, atomic physicist, reported missing from his home in Baltimore on June 5th, 1945. Just 5 years ago. Vanished completely.
Are you trying to tell me you really think there's something to this man of the moon business? Henry, I'm surprised at you. This is some crackpot trying to jam the airwaves.
Yes, but the name Otterburn is so unusual.
So are a lot of names.
And I have a theory that...
I was afraid of that. Henry, you always have a theory. Let's see, what was it last year? Oh, yes. That people disappear in occupational psych.
But it's true.
Please, Henry, I'm a busy man. You expect me to believe that this Otterburn is sitting up on the moon, sending out shortwave messages?
Well, he might be on Earth bouncing the messages off the moon. But who's to say he isn't on the moon?
Henry, as chief of this bureau, I have my hands full trying to coordinate reports from 48 states and Alaska. I have no time to include the moon.
But, Mr. Wade...
Out, Henry.
But, Mr. Wade...
Out, I'm busy.
Yes, sir.
Oh, here. Take this folder of reports for the dead file.
Yes, sir.
And no more nonsense, eh, Henry?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that you have a very dull job filing old missing persons reports, and I appreciate that you take an active interest in the affairs of the Bureau. But no more nonsense, huh?
No, sir. No more nonsense.
Pardon me. You are Mr. Henry Timken.
That's my name.
Permit me, Jefferson Philo, scientific feature writer.
Oh, how do you do? Oh, are you a newspaper man?
Not exactly. I write as a hobby. Occasionally the papers give me leads on an assignment. If I may have a moment of your time.
Oh, certainly. Just sit down at my desk over here.
Thank you. My, that's quite a stack of papers.
Filing. I'm the records custodian of the Bureau. 12 years and never misplaced a record.
Magnificent. I admire the precise mind, Mr.
Timken.
Of course. Now, Mr. Timken, Mr. O'Brien, the editor of the Star Ledger, said I might drop by and investigate a rumor. Only a rumor, mind you, that a message from the, moon?
Well, we aren't certain it's from the moon. It may be a bounce. They have bounced radar waves off the moon, you know.
Yes, I know. I wrote the first newspaper article on it.
Really? I'd be interested to read it.
I must have a copy in my
Well,
briefcase.
don't bother.
Oh, but I insist. Oh, yes. There you are. I'll leave it on your desk.
Oh, thank you very much.
Now, about this message from the moon, Mr. Timken.
Well, now, we don't know for sure, as I said. But I believe that this message, wherever it originates, is from Cornelius Otterburn.
The physicist?
Oh, do you know him?
I once wrote an article on his contribution to nuclear mechanics. A brilliant man, Otterburn. Years ahead of his contemporaries.
Well, whoever is sending those signals, if he isn't on the moon, is at least using the moon as a sounding board, bouncing the signal.
But why, Mr. Timken? Why?
Well, if you will come here tomorrow night at 8, Mr. Philo, we may learn the answer to that question. I've arranged with Charlie, our radio man, to let me use the equipment.
May I consider this an invitation?
You certainly may.
Very well, sir. Until tomorrow night, then.
Goodbye, Mr. Philo. Let's see now. Aiken, Abelard, Abramson, Rono, Atch. Well, that's funny. Now, where did this list of names come from? Paul Ahrens, astromathematician. Robert Simons, electronic engineer. Carl Parker, mining specialist. Well, this must have got mixed up with the papers on my desk by accident. Peculiar list of names. Oh, good morning, Charlie.
Oh, hi, Mr. Timken. See, we made the papers.
Oh?
And how? And as the chief steamed up about it, he really gave me what for.
What did the paper say?
Oh, mostly ha-ha. Here's the Herald. Listen. Man on the moon contacts Missing Persons Bureau. Missing atomic scientists sitting on the moon, say Bureau experts, etc., etc. What a panning.
Well, no wonder Mr. Wade is hopping.
Say, about tonight, Miss Timken, I don't know.
Now, you promised you'd give me a key to the radio room.
Yeah, but I didn't expect
Well,
this.
I'll take full responsibility with Mr. Wade.
Not the time for the morning broadcast. We got quite a list today.
Well, mind if I listen a while? We may hear Otterburn.
Well, I ain't self-conscious. Just stick around.
Yes.
Attention, attention. This is the Federal Missing Persons Bureau calling all local agencies. Nationwide. This is a coded broadcast. The following persons are missing. Aaron's Dr. Paul,
What?
5'5", brown hair, brown eyes, scar on left side of chin, thick glasses.
Aaron's.
Occupation, astromathematician. Missing since 6 o'clock this morning. Being sought by Bel Air police.
Charlie.
Repeat. Dr. Paul
Charlie,
Aaron.
shut it off a second.
Hold it. Delay 1 minute. Listen, Mr. Timken, it's okay to stay, but you can't interrupt
Now,
this.
this is important. Did you say Dr. Aarons was reported missing this morning?
6 a.m. We got the report from Bel Air less than an hour ago.
Are you certain, Charlie?
Positive. What is this?
Charlie, what's the next name on the list?
Let's see. Simons, Robert, engineer.
What?
Came in less than 20 minutes ago.
20?
Hey, what's the matter with you? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Nothing, Charlie, except that last night, quite by accident, someone left a list of names on my desk, and that list included the names of those 2 men who were reported missing within the last hour.
What? Oh, that don't sound right to me.
Well, it isn't right, Charlie. It leaves a big question to be answered. Who would make up a list of missing persons before they were missing, not after?
And you say this list of names was left on your desk accidentally?
Well, I believe so, Mr. Wade.
Do you have any ideas, Henry?
Well, it's hard to say. Mr. Philo left some papers from his briefcase.
Mr. Philo?
Well, a science feature writer.
I see. You were the leak on that story, then?
Yes, sir, I'm afraid I was. I didn't think it would be treated as a laughing matter.
Well, we'll deal with that later.
Yes, sir.
What's this Philo like?
Well, he's a strange old duck, bald, thick glasses, tall. He walks stooped over. Seems to know a great deal about scientific data, but, of course, being a science writer,
Is there any other possibility?
I believe that this is all hooked up with the broadcast from Otterburn.
That seems to be a very remote possibility.
Well, the Missing Persons Bureau deals in remote possibilities, Mr. Wade.
I do not require a statement of policy.
Yes, sir.
What's the theory?
Well, for some time now, it has been my contention that in a country like ours, where even the cleverest criminal can be ferreted out and located eventually, there is no such thing as a missing person.
I was afraid of that.
Now, for 12 years now, I have kept the central files, where information from all over the country is channeled and recorded. I have made a private study.
This is beginning to sound familiar, Henry.
And I have discovered that each year, literally thousands of persons vanish, leaving no trace. They are never located. Where do they go? Nobody knows.
And
And they disappear in interesting cycles.
what sort of cycles?
Occupations, for example. One year we'll have a run on, well, say, coal miners. Next year, the proportion of engineers increases. And then scientists. And
What do you think happens, Henry?
I don't know, Mr. Wade, but I'm beginning to suspect that somebody else has discovered the same phenomenon, even to the point, perhaps, of being able to predict who will turn up among the missing next.
Philo?
Well, I don't know, but I would like to find out.
And you think Otterburn may be a part of this picture?
Mr. Wade, I definitely do.
Henry, do you honestly expect me to buy an idea like
Well,
that?
it is more than an idea. The 2 top men on this list are missing, and...
Maybe so, but the rest of them aren't. Parker, Watson, Gibbs. Why, I saw Parker in the restaurant where I had lunch today.
Yes, but
and if
Mr.
you think
Wade-
I'm going to make myself a laughingstock by accepting such a crack-brain theory...
Well,
Excuse me.
Yes.
Hello, Wade speaking. Yes? Yes? I see. What name? Just a moment. Henry, let me see that list again.
Here you are, sir.
Go ahead. I see. I'll get back to you. I guess I owe you an apology, Henry.
Sir?
Carl Parker was just reported missing.
Parker?
3rd man on your list.
Holy mackerel.
Exactly. Henry, for a good many years now, I've ridiculed these theories of yours. I don't know. Perhaps I've underestimated you. Maybe this time you've really stumbled onto something.
What do you intend to do, Mr. Wade?
I don't know. I haven't thought it out yet.
I was planning to listen for another broadcast tonight in the hope that Otterburn might try to contact us again.
Good idea. I believe I'll join you.
I also invited Mr. Philo, the feature writer.
Oh? I'll be glad to meet him. I'm beginning to get interested in your Mr. Philo.
Wait, you don't think...
That he's mixed up in this?
Yes, sir.
I don't know, Henry. But it suddenly strikes me that we don't know very much about him, really.
We ought to contact the police.
No, Henry. I think we're better off keeping this between ourselves for the moment. We're dealing with the unknown. And in solving an equation for the X factor, it's often easier to limit the number of terms. Follow me?
I don't know, Mr. Wade.
There may be more danger in what you have discovered than you are aware of. Let's keep it quiet. You agree?
Maybe you're right, Mr. Wade. I hadn't thought of the danger involved.
8 o'clock. My friend Mr. Philo is late.
Well, he said he'd be here. He strikes me as a man who keeps appointments.
Look out the window.
Yes, sir.
The moon is almost in direct phase. Can't wait much longer.
Well, it's a perfectly clear night for transmission. If anybody's sending, we ought to pick it up with this equipment.
You'd better switch on the set.
Yes, sir. I never realized how eerie this office could be when it was empty.
I'll have to light in the hall for Mr. Philo when he comes. Are you getting anything?
Just some foreign stuff, I think.
It concludes the British portion of tonight's programming from Johannesburg, South Africa. We continue in April.
That's a peculiar transmission sound.
Earth.
Now, that sounds like something. See if I can work the selector.
The moon is in phase.
Yes.
Hello, Earth. Can you hear me?
I'll try to return. Hello? Hello?
Hello, Earth.
Hello, do you hear me?
Oh, I get you now. Thank God.
Who are you? Can you hear me? Who are you?
This is Professor Cornelius Otterburn. Hello?
Go on, I hear you.
Not much time. They're on to me. They've located my sending point. You hear me?
Go ahead, keep talking.
I've only enough oxygen for a few minutes more.
Well, where are you?
I'm on the Earth side of the moon. You get that? The Earth side of the moon. A volcanic crater.
Good. Start that recorder, Mr. Wade. Go on. Explain, please. Explain,
Now
please.
listen closely. There is an Earth colony on the moon. There is an Earth colony on the far side of the moon, made up of renegade scientists and criminals. Professor Ernst Halsman.
Halsman, he died in an insane asylum in 1938.
Professor Ernst Halsman discovered nuclear rocket power in 1935. Turned his plans over to escaped inmates of the asylum. They took off and set up a colony on the far side of the moon in 1938.
Go ahead, we're recording you.
Each year, they recruit new colonists from Earth. Slave labor, mostly. I was kidnapped in 1945.
Yes, I know. Keep talking.
They wanted me to work on atomic drive for their flying disc. Hello?
Still getting you. Go on.
Last month, 6 others and I escaped.
Speak louder.
You got to stop them. Stop them.
Stop who?
The moon colony, planning to take over the Earth. Invasion. Oh.
Hang on.
No oxygen. Hard to breathe. Listen. They have agents on Earth. You hear me?
Agents on Earth? Where? Who? Hello? Hello? Hello?
Agents in...
Henry, look out.
Lights.
Someone at the window. Get down. Henry, are you all right?
I think so. His shot smashed the transmitter.
And the lights. Strike a match. Careful.
It was close.
I got a look at him. From the description, it was your Mr. Philo.
We got a recording anyway, but not the most important part of the message. Poor Otterburn, suffocating to death.
Henry, we've got to get you out of here. He said they have agents. Philo is probably one of them. He'll be looking for you now, trying to kill you.
But the police...
Do you think the police would believe a fantastic story like this? People being kidnapped to the moon as slave labor? Moon colony planning an invasion of the Earth? But Henry, believe me, they'd trap us into straitjackets before we could finish.
We've got to do something.
We need time. Time to get proof.
You don't think my theory was bunk then?
I know it wasn't, Henry. Right now, my only concern is for your safety.
But we can't walk out of here. Philo's probably waiting.
Listen, there's a service elevator that leads to the basement garage.
Yeah?
We can get down there. There are some delivery trucks parked there all night. We can probably get one started. The garage door's off the ramp, work from the inside. We'll start the mechanism and make a run for it.
I don't know. I think if we call the police...
By the time the police get here, we'll be dead. You think Philo will wait outside all night? Come on. That's an order.
Okay. But what about the recording of Otterburn's notes?
We'll leave that here in the safe in my office. They'll never get into that. Let's go. You buzz the elevator while I hide the recording. This is the basement. Come on. Keep to the side.
Yes, sir.
Shh. Let's try that delivery truck over there. I'll get in. All right, Henry. You start the mechanism to open the garage door, then jump onto the truck.
Yes, sir.
We'll make a dash for it.
Where can we go?
I have a farm outside Chevy Chase. It's private. Miles from the nearest neighbor and completely hidden by trees. We'll run for that. Go ahead. Start the door up.
All right.
Quick. Jump in. Let her go, Henry. Cross your fingers. We made it out all right. Anything doing?
There's a blue coupe behind us, Mr. Wade. It seems to be following.
I'll cut up Pennsylvania Avenue. Now Route 1, toward Baltimore.
It is following. He turned with us. Can you go faster?
Not much faster.
Oh, he's gaining on us.
I've got an idea. Hang on, Henry.
Yes. Why'd you stop?
I'll turn off the lights. It worked. He shot right past us. Now we'll double back and go out another route.
Well, I don't see anything. I think we've lost him.
Good. I think everything's going to be all right now. We can be at my farm in less than an hour. Not much longer now. Is anyone behind us?
I thought I saw the blue coupe again, but I was mistaken. Whew. This place is really out in the wilderness.
You can stay here indefinitely till we'll figure out the next route. Now, just up this dirt road now. There's the house up ahead.
You're not going toward it.
No, I have a better idea. There's a big abandoned wheat silo on my grounds. It's down a hollow where it can't be seen except from the air. And even then, the oak tree's shielded. We'll hide you out there. Now, we leave the truck here. It'll never be seen. Come on.
Yes. How did you ever find this place, Mr. Wade?
I've always liked seclusion. I bought it about 12 years ago. Come up here in the summertime to get away from it all. There's the silo.
Certainly well hidden.
There's a small door around the side. Come on. Be careful of those bushes.
Yes.
It's hard to see them in the dark.
Do you suppose Philo will find us?
I assure you, Henry, Mr. Fowler will never find us here. Not in a million years. Here's the door.
It's pitch dark.
Hold my arm. I know the way. Just a few steps up and another door.
Steel. This is an unusual silo. Double-walled, wood outside and steel inside.
Completely fireproof. An army couldn't wreck it. We're inside the inner shell. Careful. You're in a circular room. Stay here a moment. I'll go outside and see if the coast is clear. In a moment, your eyes will become accustomed to the darkness. I'll bring back some food and water.
Don't be long, Mr. Wade. This place gives me the willies.
Just a moment.
Mr. Wade. I swear I hear something. Mr. Wade. What's that? There is something. Good Lord. There's someone in here. It's locked. Oh, no. Mr. Wade! Mr. Wade, let me out! I'm not alone in here! Mr. Wade! This must be a light switch. Thank God. Oh, no. People. 10, 15, 20. Mr. Wade, help! Help!
It will do you no good to shout, Henry.
Mr. Wade, where are you?
Outside. Speaking over the intercom.
Mr. Wade, there are people in here. 15 or 20 of them. They're sitting like statues, just staring at me.
They won't hurt you, Henry.
What?
They've all been drugged. They're even more helpless than you.
But who are they?
Permit me to introduce them, Henry, since they're currently unable to introduce themselves. The gentleman seated before you, the one with the scar, is Dr. Paul Ahrens, the astromathematician. Next to him is Mr. Robert Simons, electronic engineer.
Names on the list.
Yes, you're familiar with the rest. They've all been, shall we say, recruited to work with Professor Halsman's group on the moon.
Moon? Then you're one of them.
Of course. Oh, yes. There's one whose name was not on our list. If you'll turn around, Henry, you'll recognize the drugged form of your old friend, Mr. Philo.
Philo? But I thought...
That he was part of the conspiracy? No. On the contrary. His snooping made it necessary for us to include him.
Yes, but the man in the window, the one who fired the shot...
An agent of mine. The pilot of this ship.
What ship?
This silo is camouflaged for a rocket launching platform. In a moment, the roof will slide back for the rocket's takeoff.
A rocket ship?
In exactly 70 hours, you and your companions will join Professor Otterburn on the moon.
But you can't do this to me!
We have done it, Henry.
No!
You see, there was another name omitted in that list, which I carelessly mixed up with your papers. That of Henry Timken.
No!
Bon voyage.
I won't let you do this! You can't! Please let me out! Let me out, please! This can't happen! Let me out! Let me out!
Attention. Missing since 8 o'clock last night, the following persons. Timken Henry, age 45, height 5 feet 8, 165 pounds, brown eyes, slightly balding. Occupation, records custodian. Repeat, Timken Henry, age 45, height 5 feet 8, 165 pounds.
In just a moment, a word about next week's adventure. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you The Man in the Moon, an original radio drama written by George Lefferts. Featured in the cast were Louis Van Rooten as Henry, Santos Ortega as the Chief, Ross Martin as Charlie, Sidney Smith as Otterburn, Bob Haig as Jake, Joe DeSantis as Philo, and Ed Latimer as O'Brien. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Fred Way and is an NBC Radio Network production. Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents X minus 1. Tonight's story, Nightfall by Isaac Asimov.
Ralph Waldo Emerson speculated, if the stars should appear one night in 1,000 years, how would man believe and adore and perceive for many generations the remembrance of the city of God? This was philosophically interesting. But on the edge of the galaxy, a planet swings on its orbit in a cluster of 6 suns. These suns hang in the sky above. Never less than 2 shine down through the entire 23.8 hours of the planet's day. The yellow light has burned down on the planet continuously, into the past, till the mind of man runneth not to the contrary. Theremin was a reporter for the Sarrow City Chronicle. He covered them all, from the night police beat to politics to the sports pages, and the city editor wanted him to cover the biggest story of the year, perhaps of all time. It was an interview, a particularly difficult interview. But then, since his first days as a cub, Theremin had specialized in difficult interviews. It cost him bruises, black eyes, and broken bones, but it had gotten him an ample supply of coolness and self-confidence. He didn't expect violence, though, from an astronomer.
You're from that newspaper? Well, you got a lot of gall coming here.
Well, now, look, Dr. Aton, it's only a job.
I've read your paper. You've been writing this observatory for 2 months now. You've attacked me personally. I have nothing to say to you.
Well, this is your chance to get your side into the paper. Look, Dr. Aton, I'll give it to you straight. 2 months ago, the observatory issued a press statement that the world was coming to an end. Now, that's the same story the cult of the Book of Revelations had been preaching. Now, when a scientist backs that up, it's news.
Our conclusions have nothing to do with the cult. The cult is full of superstition and mysticism. We're scientists.
You've got the people pretty angry.
It doesn't matter.
If I can't get the story from you, I'll have to go somewhere else.
Go ahead.
The paper can be pretty rough on someone who doesn't cooperate, Dr. Aton.
Young man, if you're not out of the observatory within 5 minutes, I shall call the police. Now get out.
The reporter walks down the long hall from the observatory. The light filters through the high, clear-story windows, the yellow light of Gamma, the brightest of the 6 suns in the planet's sky. Beta is almost at zenith. Its red light floods the landscape to an unusual orange. The planet's sun Alpha is at the antipodes, and now as Gamma sinks below the horizon, the red dwarf sun Beta is alone, grimly alone. It's a short drive from the observatory to Sarrow City, and the red light glares from the highway. The temple of the cult stands hewn from the solid rock of the Dormite Mountains outside the city, and in the inner courtyard stands Sor, the priest of the cult.
Woe to the unbelievers! Their souls will rot with the absence of light.
Tell me, Your Reverence, what will happen? What are you waiting for here?
The day of the coming. It is written in the Book of Revelations. It came to pass the sun Beta was alone in the sky, and the world was shrunken and cold, and men did assemble in the public squares and highways. Their minds were troubled, and their speech confused, for the souls of men awaited the coming of the stars. And the lip of the cave of darkness passed the edge of Beta, and loud were the cries of men, and there was no light on the surface of the world. And in this blackness there appeared the stars in countless numbers, and in that moment the souls of men departed from them, and their abandoned bodies became even as beasts. From the stars then reached down the heavens flame, and where it touched, the cities of the world flamed to destruction, so that of man and all the works of man naught remained. So it is written.
Dr. Sharon, you're the only scientist I could find in the city. Where is everybody?
In the hideout.
The hideout?
Yes, but the place bored me. I wanted to be out here where things are getting hot. I want to see the stars the cultists are talking about. Besides, they don't want me at the hideout. I'm too scrawny to survive.
What is the hideout?
Well, we professors have managed to convince a few people that our prophecy of doom is valid. We've got about 3,000 people. They're supposed to hide where the darkness and the stars can't get at them. We hope they'll survive and leave the records.
Survive? Survive what?
Well, how true it is, I can't say, but the cultists say that every 2,050 years, all the suns disappear, and there is a total darkness, and then they say things called stars appear. Of course, men go mad. They mix all this up with a lot of religio-mystic notions, but that's the central idea.
But that's impossible, isn't it? I mean, there are always at least 2 suns in the sky, most of the time 4 or 5.
There aren't now. Only Beta.
You mean that there is going to be worldwide darkness tomorrow, that all mankind will go violently insane? What's behind that?
Well, for one thing, the history of civilization of the world. We have located a series of cycles of civilizations comparable to our own, all of which, without exception, were destroyed by fire at the very height of their culture.
But is there any scientific theory behind this which would explain it?
Well, the University Observatory finished their calculations 2 months ago. And tomorrow there will be an eclipse of Beta so that the planet will become dark. That eclipse comes every 2,049 years. Darkness. And maybe those mysterious stars that no man has seen. And then madness and the end of civilization.
And you expect to live through this at the hideout?
They plan to photograph the eclipse and leave the records. And then the rest of mankind will know what to expect.
Well, what is there in darkness to drive men mad?
Have you ever experienced darkness, young man?
Well, no, but I know what it is. It's just no light.
Oh. Draw the curtain.
Why, what for? If we had 4 or 5 suns out there, we might want to cut the light down for comfort, but with only Beta...
Ah, that's the point. Just draw the curtain and then come here and sit down.
All right. I can't see you.
Feel your way.
But I can't see you. I can't see anything.
Do you like it?
Oh, it's awful. The walls seem to be closing in on me. I keep wanting to push them away.
All right, all right. Draw the curtain back again.
Oh, the light. Do you have a drink?
Right here. Now, that was just a dark room.
Yes, but it wasn't really so bad.
You're afraid?
Just darkness could do that?
This isn't just a metaphysical theory, young man. It's promulgated from observed data. Well, come with me.
Where?
The locked wall down the corridor. Were you at the Cerro City Centennial Exposition 2 years ago?
I was overseas on assignment.
Well, you remember hearing about the tunnel of mystery that broke all records in the amusement area?
Oh, yes. Wasn't there some fuss about that? The Anti-Vice Society had it shut down.
Oh, it was shut down, all right. But the Blue Noses had nothing to do with it. That tunnel was nothing but a mile-long passage through darkness. You rode in a little car, and it took 15 minutes to get through. Oh, it was very popular while it lasted.
Popular?
Well, there's a fascination to be frightened when it's part of a game. Absence of light is one of the instinctive human fears. People came out of that 15 minutes of darkness shaking and half dead with fear.
Weren't there some deaths?
Oh, bad hearts, but that wasn't the big danger. Now, which key is this? Ah.
Where are we going?
You'll see. No, the heart attacks were actually good for business, but there was something else. Here, I'll show you. I want you to see somebody. Latimer. Latimer.
Go away.
Latimer, I want you to meet somebody. This is Mr. Theremin.
No, go away.
Hello?
He's pushing me. Make him stop pushing me. Go away.
I'm not touching him. What's wrong?
Latimer is afraid. Aren't you?
The walls. They're falling in on me. The walls. I've got to get out. I've got to get out. Let me out.
You can't go out, Latimer. It's all right.
I've got to get out. Let me out. Let me out. Let me out.
At sleeping period, we have to give him a shot of morphine. Otherwise, he'd bat his brains against the wall.
What's wrong with him?
Nothing. Nothing but 15 minutes in the darkness of the tunnel of mystery.
Oh, that's impossible.
1 person out of 10 came out of the tunnel that way. That's why we had it shut down.
But why should darkness do that?
It's obvious men cannot exist without light. Longer periods of darkness would obviously be fatal. The scientific theory is that the consciousness of light is necessary for mental activity.
Please, doctor, let me outside. Let me out, please. I can't breathe. They're pushing me. They're always pushing me. I can't stand here.
Well, there you are, Theremin. That's what 15 minutes of darkness will do. Man just wasn't built to operate without light. There are always at least 2 suns in the sky, most of the time more.
Just 15 minutes of darkness.
Now, look out of that window. Imagine darkness everywhere. No light as far as you can see. Black. Everything black. And, stars, whatever they are. Can you conceive it? No, your mind wasn't built for that conception. When the real thing comes, you will go mad. Completely and permanently. There is no question of it. Tomorrow, there won't be a city left standing in the world.
Why should the cities be destroyed?
If you were in darkness, what would you want more than anything else? What would it be that every instinct would call for? Light. And how would you get light?
I don't know.
You'd burn something. They've got to have light. They've got to burn something. And every city in the world will go up in flames. Well, shall we go back to my office, Mr. Theremin, and have another drink?
Through the skies, the red sun Beta shines alone. The wind howls across the city. It is cold, colder than man can remember. And as the hour approaches, the reporter goes out and speaks to the man in the street.
Excuse me, where are you going now?
Home for supper.
How about, what are you going to do tonight?
Oh, you mean about this star stuff? Look, I'll tell you, mister, I got nothing against religion, see? But it don't stand to reason that the end of the world is going to come boom like that. It just don't stand to reason.
Have you read what the scientists say?
I don't read stuff like that, only the headlines.
Well, how about the cult?
Well, now, like I say, I've got nothing against religion.
But you don't believe them either.
They've always been shouting about doom and sin. Listen, when you've been around as long as I have, you get to know the score. It's all right to preach Judgment Day is coming and all that, but just the same, I'm putting money in the bank.
How about darkness?
About what?
How would you feel if there were no light?
You crazy. How could there be no light?
Well, suppose all the suns went down at once. Suppose everything was black.
That's crazy. What's the use of supposing something like that? It couldn't happen. It's crazy.
That's all. Thank you.
Sure. Oh, look, mister, remember, pallet with 2 L's?
All this talk of scientific explanation, it's sinful, that's what it is.
Are you a member of the cult, sir?
Sure I am. Been a member since I was a boy. My daddy was a member, too. I've seen the books. It's all written down in the books.
Don't you believe the scientists' explanation?
Don't need it. I'm going to save my immortal soul. I'm going to stay on the mountaintop in a white robe while the stars carry me away to glory. Blessed be the stars. Amen.
What are the stars?
The glory, the breath of the heavens, the spirit of the ultimate. That's what they are.
The observatory has announced that it intends to take pictures of the stars.
Blasphemy. I sold my house and gave all my money to the poor. Won't need it anymore. I'm going to heaven with the stars. Glory, glory, going with the stars.
The reporter checks the stock exchange, the stores, business at a standstill. Doesn't pay to buy anything today, not if the world is going to end tomorrow. There are predictions of economic collapse in the financial section, layoffs at the factories on the edge of the city, and through the streets the people will mill and turn, unsure, crying in fear or shouting with bravado. The story isn't here in the city, and so as the hour approaches, the reporter goes again to the observatory, high in the hills.
Look, Dr. Aton, if you are right, if the world is going to be destroyed, what is the difference if I stay here and observe and take notes?
Nothing, I suppose. You will be in the way. We have work to do.
If I stay out of the way.
Hello, hello. Oh, this place is like a morgue. It's freezing outside. The wind is enough to hang icicles on your nose. Beta doesn't seem to give any heat at all, the distance it is.
Why aren't you in the hideout, Sharon?
Me? I'm part of the race that isn't worth perpetuating. Who's got a bottle?
There'll be no alcohol today. Be too easy to get my men drunk. I can't afford to tempt them. All right, Thurman, you can stay. Time we took our positions, the observatory dome is up these stairs.
After you.
Ah!
What is that?
Up in the dome, quick!
What is it?
It's the plates. The photographic plates, they're all smashed.
There he is. A cultist.
He's going for the telescope. After him.
All right, I've got it. Let go. No. Let go must be destroyed. It must be.
It's all right. He didn't harm anything. Let him up.
Well, that's the high priest. I was talking to him yesterday.
All right. What do you want?
Nothing that you would give me of your own free will.
I made a bargain with the cult to give me certain data that you had. In return, I promised to prove the essential truth of the creed.
There was no need to prove that. It stands proven by the book of Revelations.
I offered scientific backing for you believers.
You made of the darkness and the stars a natural phenomenon and removed all its real significance. That was blasphemy.
The facts exist.
Your facts are a fraud and a delusion.
How do you know?
I know.
I suppose you think in trying to warn the world against the menace of madness, we are placing souls in jeopardy, huh? Well, we haven't succeeded, if that makes you feel better.
Your devilish instruments must be destroyed. We obey the will of the stars.
Someone call the police in Cerro City.
There's no time for that. Let me handle this. The eclipse is only a few minutes away. Look, you. Will you give your word of honor to cause no trouble?
I will not.
Listen. Just as soon as the eclipse starts, we're going to take you and put you in a closet with the door closed, and you will stay there. Then you won't see the darkness, and you won't see the stars. And that means the loss of your immortal soul, according to the cult. All right. Will you give your word of honor?
You have it. You will all be damned for your deeds of today.
Look at Beta.
The eclipse has started. You can see the blackness against Beta. Get busy on those cameras. Check the exposures very carefully.
You're shaking, Mr. Ferriman.
Yes, I don't feel very well.
You're not losing your nerve.
No, I'm just not used to it.
You could probably make the hideout.
I have been assigned to cover a story. I intend to cover it.
Oh, professional honor?
Yes.
Yes. Allah sofanet radrak. Allah sofanet.
What is that?
The cultist. That's the book of Revelations.
I don't understand it.
He is chanting some old cycle language. The book of Revelations was originally written in it. There are probably 2 million people in Cerro City who are trying to join the cult. One gigantic revival.
How do the cultists manage to keep the book of Revelations going from cycle to cycle if everyone goes mad? Who wrote the book?
There are some people who don't see the stars. The blind, those who drink themselves into a stupor, and children, to whom the world as a whole is too new and too strange for them to be frightened at stars and darkness. They would have memories, and that, combined with the confused, incoherent babbling of the mad, formed the basis for the book of Revelations. Oh, the cult will be riding high down there in the city. I hope they make the most of it.
Dr. Sharon, I just heard from the hideout on the private line.
Oh, they're in trouble?
They are safe, but the city is the shambles. You have no idea.
Well, it'll get worse. But what are you shaking about, Dr. Ayton? How do you feel?
You don't understand. The cultists are rousing the people to storm the observatory, promising them immediate entrance into grace, promising them salvation, promising them anything.
How long till the total eclipse?
An hour.
Well, it's a gamble. It will take time to get a mob out here. If the darkness comes first, we're all right. Oh, look at Beta.
It's cut in half. Half of it is black.
Yes, it's getting darker. An interesting phenomenon. Oh, my collar is suddenly tight. Are you having any difficulty in breathing?
No, why?
Difficulty in breathing is one of the first symptoms. We have experimented.
I'm cold. Seems to be getting colder.
Yes, well, we'd better keep our minds on something else. One of the astronomers has a theory about the stars, far away to see in the light. He developed a fantasy about a planet revolving around one sun. It's a mathematical possibility. Of course, there couldn't be any life. Part of the planet would always be dark and without light. Well, it's obvious. Without light, there can't be any life.
It's time for the artificial light. We can't read the instruments.
Artificial light?
One of the researchers at the university worked it out.
Why, it's beautiful. Yellow light. After 4 hours of red. It's beautiful. Light. Light.
The dome is quiet. The priest in his yellow robe sways slowly as his lips move in the ancient tongue. Over and over, he whispers the invocation to the stars. The technicians hunch over the instruments, and the sky gradually turns a horrible deep purple red, and the air grows denser. Dusk, like a palpable entity, enters the room, and the dancing circle of yellow light about the torches etches itself into ever sharper distinction against the ever-gathering grayness beyond. Outside, Beta is a mere smoldering splendor, taking a last look at the world. The western horizon, in the direction of the city, is lost in darkness, and along the highway to the observatory surges a menacing, shadowy mass.
The mob from the city, they're coming.
How long till total eclipse?
15 minutes. But they'll be here in 5.
We'll hold them off. Come on, Theremin, downstairs.
But there's no light down there.
We have to block the door. Come on.
I can't breathe. I can't go down there.
Take a torch. We'll take light with us. Come on. Ayton! Ayton!
I'm here. Did you bar the door?
They won't get in.
All right, now, everybody. 1 minute till totality. 1 minute. Just before totality, I'm changing the plate. That will leave one of you for each camera. You know all about times of exposure. Now remember, don't try to look for good shots. And if you feel yourself going, get away from the camera.
Dark. It's getting dark.
Sharon. Sharon, where are you? I can't see you, Sharon.
I'm right here.
30 seconds.
Look out! The priest!
I can't see him.
And the wicked shall perish, and the souls of the true believers shall be transported in glory to the stars.
You can see him against the torch.
Don't let him get to the
From
telescope.
the stars there reach down a heavenly flame, and where it touched the cities of the world, flame to utter destruction.
Grab him!
You shall not blaspheme! The world must be destroyed by the stars! It must be! Let me go!
I'll take care of him.
Stars! It's the stars!
5 seconds to totality. 4, 3, 2, 1.
The sky is black, and through it shine the stars. 30,000 minute suns shine down in a soul-searing splendor. It is more frightening in its awful indifference than the bitter wind that shivers across the horrible, cold, bleak world.
The stars. The stars. The stars. It's dark. 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 The walls. The walls are coming in on me. They're coming in. Light. 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 Darkness. Forever.
Light.
And ever. And ever.
Light.
And the walls are breaking in.
We did not know. We did not know. We did not know.
On the horizon, in the direction of the city, a crimson glow begins growing. 1,000 fires strengthen in brightness that is not the glow of the sun. 1,000,000 fires, as a world mad in the darkness screams in terror for the light. The night has come again.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. Tonight, by transcription, X-1 has brought you Nightfall by Isaac Asimov, adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in the cast were Wendell Holmes, John Larkin, Santos Ortega, Mercer McLeod, Alan Collins, Bob Hastings, and Roy Fent. Your narrator was Floyd Mack. Fred Collins speaking. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production. Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, the discovery of Morniel Mathaway by William Tent.
Everyone is astonished at the change in Morniel Mathaway since he was discovered. Everyone, that is, but me. They remember him as an unbathed and untalented Greenwich Village painter who began almost every second sentence with I and ended every third one with me. You see, I understand the change in him, because I was there the day he was discovered. We were talking about his discovery that day. I was sitting carefully balanced on the one wooden chair in his cold little Bleecker Street studio, because I was too sophisticated to sit in the easy chair.
Come on, Dave. Take a comfortable seat.
Oh, no, Morny. Oh, no. I know about that chair.
Now, what do you mean? It's the only comfortable chair in the room.
Yeah, I know. Look at it. Broken down springs, very high in the front and low in the back.
Sure, it conforms with the position of the spine.
Yeah, sure. And when you sit in it, things begin sliding out of your pockets. Loose change, keys, wallets, anything. What do you do, Morny? Pay the rent on your studio with that easy chair?
Well, as a matter of fact, it is rather profitable.
And that's why I'll sit on the wooden chair, if you don't mind.
Oh, now, don't be bourgeois.
Well, I notice you always sit on the bed.
That's because I'm a good host.
I see. Well, how's the painting going?
Oh, great, fabulous.
You sell any paintings?
No. You know, Dave, I can't wait for the day when some dealer, some critic with an ounce of brains sees my work. I can't miss, Dave. I know I can't miss. I'm just too good. Sometimes I get frightened at how good I am. Why, it's almost too much talent for one man.
Well, there's always...
Not that it's too much talent for me. I'm big enough to carry it, fortunately. I'm large enough of soul.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it. Now, if you don't mind...
You know what I was thinking about this morning?
No, but to tell you the truth,
I was thinking about Picasso, Dave. Picasso and Rouault. I'd just gone for a walk through the pushcart area to have my breakfast. You know, the old hand's quicker than the eye.
Yes, I know. I've seen you do it. You're the only man I know who can ask directions to Houston Street and fill his pockets full of bananas at the same time.
Oh, well, society owes the artist something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I started to think about the art of modern painting. I think about that a lot, Dave. It troubles me.
You do, huh? Well,
I was thinking, who is really doing important work in painting today? Who is really an unquestionable great? I could think of only 3 names. Picasso, Rouault, and me.
Well, naturally.
Just 3 names, no more. Oh, it made me feel very lonely, Dave.
Yeah, well, I can see that. But
and then I asked myself, why is this so? Has absolute genius always been so rare? Why has my impending discovery been delayed so long? Oh, I've thought about it for a long time, Dave. I've thought about it humbly, carefully, because it's an important question, and this is the answer I came up with.
Well, don't bother waiting for the answer that Monial came up with. It turned out to be a theory of aesthetics I'd heard at least a dozen times before from a dozen other painters in the village. Monial was a bad painter, there was no question about it. I say that not only from my opinion. I've roomed with 2 modern painters, and I've been married for a year to another, but... Well, for example, a friend of mine, a fine critic of modern art, took a look at one of Monial's paintings, which he hung over my fireplace in spite of my protests, and just kind of stared slack-jawed.
What does he call that technique?
Well, he says it's smudge on smudge.
Well, I can believe it. Smudge on smudge, white on white, non-objectivism, neo-abstractionism, call it what you like. There's nothing there, nothing. Well, it doesn't even have the interest of those paintings that chimpanzee did a couple of years ago. He's just another of those loudmouth, frowsy, frustrated dilettantes that infest the village. Why do you waste your time with him?
Well, for one thing, he lives right around the corner, and he's kind of colorful in his own sick way. And he does have one great talent.
It's not in painting.
No. Now, you see, I just get by as far as living expenses are concerned. Things like good paper to write on, good books for my library. I can't touch them. And sometimes the yearning gets too great. You know, a newly published collection by Wallace Stevens. Well, if I find one I want, I just go over to Monial's and tell him about it.
He doesn't lend you money.
Oh, no. Now, you see, we go out to the bookstore and we come in separately. And then I start a conversation with the proprietor about some very expensive out-of-print item I'm thinking of ordering, and Monial just says, "Don't mind me, I'm browsing." Well, that's the high side. I'm browsing.
Well, what happens?
Well, while I'm keeping the proprietor talking, Monial snaffles the Stevens.
Isn't that just a little bit,
Oh, well, I intend to pay for them, of course, just as soon as I'm a little ahead.
Well, why does he do this for you?
Oh, well, I pay off. I go through the same routine at an art supply store so Monial can get canvas and paint and brushes. Of course, I really have to pay for Monial's browsing. I have to suffer through listening to him, and then my conscience bothers me.
Oh, it does?
Yes, you see, I intend to pay for my things, but I know he doesn't. And that's why my conscience bothers me. Well, here he was the day he was discovered, sitting in his room, and Monial was running on about his own genius.
No, I can't be as unique as I feel. Other people must be born with the potential of such great talent, but it's destroyed in them before they can reach artistic maturity. Why? How? Well, let's examine the role that society plays in all of this.
What's that? You got a hi-fi set?
Nonsense. That's a crass materialistic concept that I should...
Something is happening. Hey, why did you put the purple lights in?
Purple? Oh, what's that?
Look, it's shimmering. It's coming right through the wall. It looks like a box.
We can't both be having an artistic vision. You're not the type.
No, I'm not, and I'm not drunk either. Look out, something's going to happen.
Monial Mathaway?
Who
Who are you? Where'd you come from?
You are Morniel Mathaway?
Yes.
My name is Glescu. I bring you greetings from 2487 AD.
Oh, 2487 AD?
I realize this is a difficult phenomenon for you to grasp entirely, but here I am. We will now indulge in the 20th century custom of shaking hands. Mr. Morniel Mathaway?
Oh, well, sure. Shake. Yeah.
And you, sir?
Yeah, sure. I don't mind. Shake.
What a moment. What a supreme moment.
Oh, well, what do you mean, what a moment? What's so special about it? Are you the inventor of time travel?
Me, an inventor? No. Time travel was invented by Antoinette Ingeborg well, that was after your time. It's hardly worth going into at the moment, especially since I only have half an hour.
Why half an hour?
The skin drum can only be maintained that long. The skin drum is, well, call it the transmitting device that enables me to appear in your period. There is such an enormous expenditure of power required that a trip into the past is made only every 50 years. The privilege is awarded as a sort of go-bell. I believe I have the word right. It is go-bell, isn't it? The award made in your time?
Well, you wouldn't mean Nobel by any chance, a Nobel Prize?
That's it, the Nobel Prize. A trip is awarded to outstanding scholars as a kind of Nobel Prize. Once every 50 years, the man selected by the Gardemax is the most preeminent, that sort of thing, you know. Up to now, of course, it's always gone to historians, or they frittered it away on the siege of Troy and the first atom bomb explosion at Los Alamos, or the discovery of America, things like that. But this year...
Yes? Well, what kind of scholar are you?
I am an art scholar. My specialty is art history, and my special field in art history is...
What?
You, Mr. Mathaway. In my own period, I may say without much contradiction, I am the greatest living authority on the life and works of Morniel Mathaway. My special field is you.
Dave, did you hear that? Dave! I heard. You mean that I'm famous? That famous?
Famous. You, my dear sir, are beyond fame. You are one of the immortals the human race has produced.
That famous?
That famous. Who is the man with whom modern painting in its full glory is said to have definitely begun? Who is the man whose designs and color have dominated architecture for the past 5 centuries? Who is responsible for the arrangement of our cities, the shape of our artifacts, the texture of our clothing?
Me.
You. No other man in the history of art has exerted such a massive influence over design. To whom can I compare you, sir? To what other artist in history can I possibly compare you?
Rembrandt? Da Vinci?
Rembrandt and Da Vinci in the same breath as you. That's ridiculous. They lacked your universality, your taste for the cosmic.
Wow. Mr. Glescu, excuse me. Do you happen to know of a poet named David Danziger? Did much of his work survive?
Is that you?
Yes, that's me. Dave Danziger?
Well, no, I don't think so. The only poet I can remember for this time and this part of the world is Peter Tebb.
Tebb? Never heard of him.
Then this must have been before he was discovered. But you see, I am an art scholar. Well, you see, checking my chronometer, I see my time is getting short. But it is an overwhelming delight for me to be standing in your studio, Mr. Mathaway, and looking at you at last in the flesh. I wonder if you would mind obliging me with a small favor.
Oh, sure. You name it. Nothing's too good for you. What do you want?
I wonder, I'm sure you don't mind, could you possibly let me look at your painting? The one that you're working on at this very moment.
Well, sure. I have one right over here. Just, I'll pull the easel around. There you are. I intend to call this Figurines number 29.
Oh, but this...
What's the matter?
Well, surely this isn't your work, Mr. Mathaway?
Yeah. It's my work, all right. Figurines number 29. Recognize it?
No, I do not recognize it, and that is a fact for which I am extremely grateful. Could I see something else, please? Something a little later.
Well, that's the latest. Everything else is earlier. Here, you might like this. Now, I call this Figurines number 22. I think it's the best of my early period.
Oh dear. You know, well, this looks like smears of paint on top of other smears of paint.
Right. Only I call it smudge on smudge. But you probably know all about that, being such an authority on me. And now, here we have figurines number 12.
Do you mind leaving these figurines, Mr. Mathaway? I'd like to see something of yours with color and form.
Well, I haven't done any real color work for a long time. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. I have one over here somewhere, an old canvas. I was going to paint over it. Here we are.
This is one of the few examples of my mauve and mottle period that I've kept.
Oh, I can't imagine why. It's positively, Oh, dear.
Oh, now, wait a minute. Let me show you some of my intestinal period. Here. Here's a particularly good one. It's called large intestine rampant. You like it?
Oh, please. I think I'd like to sit down.
Well, take the comfortable chair. And here's another one called small intestine incisive. Oh, it's rather good, don't you think? I managed to avoid completely any definite line. You notice that?
I don't suppose you ever drink of Glyfax. Oh, no, of course you don't. It hasn't been invented yet.
Oh, now here's one that's bound to be great. It's one of my earlier smudge on smudges. It's called fly ash. I painted it by coating the canvas with slow-setting glue and leaving it out on the window for about 2.5 hours. Notice the delicate deposit of soot.
Oh, please. Please, Mr. Mathaway, please.
Oh, I've got lots more.
I don't understand this. All these canvases, this is obviously before you discover yourself and your true technique. But I'm looking for a sign, a hint to the genius that is to come, and I find...
Well, how about this one? Here.
Oh, please. Oh, take that away. Oh, dear. Oh, dear, no. Oh, look, I'll have to leave soon. I don't understand this at all. Let me show you something here, gentlemen. Here, a pocket edition of the source book.
The complete paintings of Morniel Mathaway, 1928-1996. Were you born in 1928?
Yep. May 23rd, 1928.
Here, look at the first painting.
Well, that's beautiful. I mean, the color, that's incredible.
Oh, well, that stuff. Well, why didn't you tell me you wanted that kind of stuff?
You mean you have paintings like this, too?
No, not paintings. One painting. Oh, I did it last week as a sort of an experiment, but I wasn't satisfied with the way it turned out, so I gave it to the girl downstairs. Would you like to look at it?
Oh, yes. Very much.
Well, here, I'll just toss your book on the bed. Come on, it won't take a minute or two. Oh, she isn't at home. I thought she'd be home now. Oh, I did so want you to see that painting.
I want to see it. I want to see anything that looks like your mature work. But time is getting short. The chronometer...
I'll tell you what. Anita here has a couple of cats that she asked me to feed when she's away for a while. So she's given me the key to her apartment. Suppose I, browse upstairs and get it.
But she...
Suppose I browse through my room and get it. Get it?
Oh, yeah. You go ahead and browse, sure.
Fine, but please hurry.
Oh, sure, I'll hurry. I won't take long browsing.
Well, that was it, the high sign. I'd seen Morniel Mathaway in action too many times as a shoplifter not to understand it. He was going upstairs to lift that book that he'd dropped on the bed. I knew he hadn't ever painted a picture like the one in the book, but he would now. Only he wouldn't paint them. He'd copy them. Well, I started talking automatically. You, paint yourself, Mr. Glasgow?
No. Of course, I wanted to be an artist when I was a boy. I imagine every critic starts out that way, but I found it far easier to write about paintings than to do them. Once I began reading the life of Morniel Mathaway, I knew I had found my field. Not only do I empathize closely with his paintings, but he seems so much like a person I could have known and liked. That's one of the things that puzzles me. He's quite different from what I had imagined.
Yes, I'll bet he is.
Of course, history has a way of adding romance to an important figure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dear, I'm running out of time here. Do you think you'll be back with the key soon? I've practically no time left. I've just got to get upstairs to the time translator. I just can't wait. I'll have to hurry now. Oh, dear, I did want to see an original Mathaway. I did want to. Mr. Mathaway, Oh!
What's the matter?
The time translator, it isn't here. It's gone.
The book is gone, too.
And Mathaway, he stranded me here. He must have figured out that getting inside and closing the door made it return.
Yeah, he's a great figure. And he'll probably figure out a very plausible story to tell the people in your time to explain how the whole thing happened. Why should he work his head off in the 20th century when he can be an outstanding hero-worship celebrity in the 25th?
So what'll happen if they ask him to paint merely one picture?
Oh, he'll probably tell them he's already done his work and feels he can no longer add anything of importance to it. He'll no doubt end up giving lectures on himself. Don't worry. He'll make out. It's you I'm worried about. You're stuck here, aren't you? Are they likely to send a rescue party after you?
No. Every scholar who wins the award has to sign a waiver of responsibility in case he doesn't return. No, I'm stuck here. Tell me, is it very bad living in this period?
Well, not so bad. Of course, you'll need a Social Security card, and I don't know how you go about getting one at your age, and, well, the immigration authorities may want to question you since you're sort of an illegal alien.
Oh, dear. That's awful.
Wait a minute. It needn't be. I'll tell you what. Monial has a Social Security card. He had a job a couple of years ago. He keeps his birth certificate in that drawer along with his other papers. Now, why don't you just assume his identity? He'll never show you up as an imposter.
But do you think I could? Won't I be... well, won't his friends, his relatives...
No, he hasn't got any family, and I'm about the only friend he's got. You could get away with it. Maybe grow a beard and dye it blonde. Naturally, the big problem would be earning a living. Being a specialist on Mathaway and the art movements derived from him wouldn't get you set an awful lot right now.
But I could paint. I've always dreamed of being an artist. I don't have much talent, but there are all kinds of artistic novelties I know about, all kinds of graphic innovations that don't exist in your time. Surely that would be enough, even without talent, to make a living for me on some third or fourth-rate level.
It certainly was, but not on a third or fourth-rate level. Mr. Glasgow, that is Monial Mathaway, is the finest painter alive today and the unhappiest. After his last wildly successful exhibition, I remember he said to me,
"What's the matter with all these people praising me like that? I don't have an ounce of real talent in me. All my work is completely derivative. I've tried to do something, anything that was completely my own, but I'm so steeped in Mathaway that I can't seem to make my own personality come through. And those idiotic critics go on raving about me, and the work isn't even my own."
Well, then whose is it?
Mathaway's, of course. We thought there couldn't be a time paradox. I wish you could read all the scientific papers on the subject. They fill whole libraries because it isn't possible that time specialists argue for a painting to be copied from a future reproduction and so have no original artist. But that's what I'm doing. I'm copying from that book by memory.
Look, Glasgow, that is Mathaway. Don't knock yourself out.
But it's dishonest.
No, it isn't. You're deliberately trying not to copy those paintings. You're working so hard at it that you refuse to think about that book or even discuss it. As a matter of fact, when I tried to get you to talk about it a little while ago, you couldn't actually remember it.
That's true. It's true.
You're the real Monial Mathaway, and there's no paradox. You're actually painting those pictures. You're not copying them from memory.
I know in my heart that they're not mine.
All right, I'll forget it. Anyway, you're a much nicer guy than Mathaway ever was. And besides, a buck is a buck.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Lulu by Clifford D. Simak, a story which demonstrates that a spaceship should be a darb, a smasher, a pip, a beaut, but man all battle stations if it ever becomes a sweetheart of a ship. Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, X-1 has brought you The Discovery of Monial Mathaway, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by William Tenn and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in our cast were Leon Janney as Mathaway, Guy Repp as the critic, Wendell Holmes as Glasgow, and Les Damon as Dave. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.